indeed grateful, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, let me repeat. This bill, contrary to what is the messaging that goes with this bill, does absolutely nothing to allow law-abiding citizens to obtain firearms any quicker. That's number one. Number two, my learned friend just referred to the insufficiency of the current law. But just before my learned friend spoke, the learned Attorney General referred to the state of the common law as being set out in the case of Palmer. Mr. President, that case is a 1971 case. It is 54 years old. I can't understand what then is any insufficiency or ambiguity in a 54-year-old piece of legislation, Mr. President. And Beckford, and several other cases which I'll get to. So, Mr. President, permit me now to get into the bill itself. Now, this bill, as we've heard, seeks to do two things. One, establish the offense of home invasion, and two, provide that a person has no duty to retreat when acting in self-defense or in defense of property in the main. Now, in respect of establishing the offense of home invasion, and to put that together with the allegation of the insufficiency of the current law, I am not aware in this country that at any time someone broke into someone's home, the police arrested them, and then did not know what to charge them with or for. And that tells us that there is no insufficiency of the common law. So I'm not certain what this bill seeks to fix that needs fixing in the existing law, please, Mr. President. But let's talk about what happens in a home invasion. There are several steps in a home invasion, and it starts with surveillance. The criminal element will stake out the homeowner, will observe the home, might observe the business, and observe the general comings and goings of the person that they wish to invade. The next thing that's going to happen is they're going to return, they're going to use some form of communication among them, and they're going to carry out the execution of the home invasion. And of course, in the execution of that home invasion, several despicable acts take place, inclusive of severe violence, inclusive of larceny, robbery, sexual assaults, common assault, serious injuries. And then after that, the criminals are going to attempt to escape the premises, again aided by the use of communication devices. They're going to escape with a driver in a vehicle. They may have escaped in the vehicle of the homeowner. The next step in that process is to avoid being intercepted by the police. After they've avoided interception, they have to monetize the loot, the goods that were stolen. They have to sell it. They have to scrap the car. They have to sell the jewelry. After all of that, they have to continue avoiding detection for some time. And then the next step in the process is repeat. And in repeating a step, or repeating a process, one tends to get better, as I hope I am getting better today on my third visit here to this Honorable Senate. So, Mr. President, in considering those steps and those elements that make up what is a home invasion, one would imagine that a bill designed to address home invasions would address some, if not desirably, all of these elements, please, Mr. President. But this bill simply does not. It does not address any of those elements. It does not aid the police in intelligence gathering. It does not aid the police in intercepting communications, which I have said is fundamental in each of those steps there. In fact, there was a video quite recently circulating on Facebook where a vehicle was stolen and it was outfitted with some sort of recording device. And if anybody saw the video, they would have seen that the criminals were on their phone constantly speaking with somebody else who perhaps was giving them some instructions. And when that communication broke down, Mr. President, they abandoned the vehicle. So it tells you the importance of the communication aspect. Yet this bill does nothing to aid the police in intercepting any communications. It does not create any sort of special unit to deal with home invasions. Neither does it aid the DPP in terms of a prosecutorial unit to aid in the prosecutions of home invasions. In fact, it does not assist the criminal justice system at all. If anything, it adds yet another offense to what is our backlog system. But thankfully, The last administration had the foresight to do away with the preliminary inquiry. And so criminal prosecutions have now taken a lot shorter time than the usual 10 years, 5 years. A matter of months, a criminal is brought before the Master's Court, a sufficiency hearing is conducted, and they are on their way to a trial in the assizes. So that is what assists in the fight against crime, Mr. President. So this bill really does nothing to introduce a solution for some challenge in finding law under which to charge a person who is carrying out a criminal enterprise as described here as a home invasion. As I said, there's never been a time that somebody has committed an offense that is described here, and the police say, I don't know what to charge this man with, so I'm going to let him go. That has simply never happened, please, Mr. President. And there's nothing to aid the homeowner in defending themselves either. And contrary to the narrative run by the government, this bill does not entitle any person to a firearm. It doesn't make it any easier to obtain a firearm. It doesn't amend the Firearms Act. It doesn't amend the regulations. It doesn't modify the process. It does not enhance the police's ability to more quickly process applications or to deal with firearm appeals more efficiently, please, Mr. President. So there is nothing to deter criminals engaged in home invasions, as this bill does not even seek to, let's say, amend the Bail Act, Mr. President, to restrict bail for persons charged under the offense. Does none of that. So what really does this bill do? Well, let's go to Clause 5 of the bill, please, Mr. President. Clause 5 is headed Home Invasions. It is the operational clause that introduces the offense of home invasions. And 5(1)(a) talks about a person commits the offense of home invasion if he unlawfully enters an occupied dwelling house when he knows or has reason to know one or more persons present in the house. The first bit there, unlawfully enters an occupied dwelling house. Well, there are several pieces of legislation that cover that issue. In fact, the Honorable Attorney General did make mention of it. There's trespass, there's larceny dwelling house, there's house break-in, there's warehouse break-in. If we go to C, fraudulently misrepresents himself to be a member of law enforcement, a representative of a public or private entity for the purpose of gaining entry into an occupied dwelling house. And of course, you're gaining entry for a particular purpose. You're gaining entry to rob somebody. There is obtaining money by false pretenses. There's larceny by trick. You have D, a person who is invited into the house and fails to leave immediately on being asked by an occupant to do so. Again, immediately a trespass arises. There's also civil action and tort that arises immediately once you revoke that invitation or license, as it were. And then you have the last one, E, enters an occupied dwelling house and then forms the intention to commit a serious criminal offense. And again, as long as the act meets the intention, which is what the learned Attorney General says, you have a criminal offense occurring that is already captured in law. And then you go to a combining word here, and. F, while armed with a weapon, intimidates, uses force, or threatens the imminent use of force on any person within that dwelling house. You have we all know there are charges of possession of firearm, possession with intent, robbery with violence, robbery with aggravation, robbery occasioning actual or grievous bodily harm. There is wounding with intent, with aggravation, with violence. There is rape, grievous sexual assault. All of these offenses already exist. And in addition to that, the descriptions contemplated from F to L, and again that is section 5, subsection 1, F to L, they talk about what criminal practitioners would know to be aggravating factors in a crime. So that even if it were that someone were to be convicted of house break-in or, let's say, larceny dwelling house, and they were armed with a weapon, number one, a firearm, let's say, a firearm. Number two, they cause an injury. Number three, they steal something. Number four, there are children present in the home. There are elderly persons in the home, Mr. President. All of those things are aggravating factors. They are a member of a gang, that in and of itself, another criminal offense. Participant in an organized criminal activity. You're lying in wait. There is a person who has a disability or otherwise vulnerable person. All of those things are aggravating offenses that arise, if not in respect of the elements of the offense for which they are charged and convicted, certainly will arise on sentencing principles, Mr. President. So all of these things are already contemplated within existing legislation. So I'll come back to the fundamental question, well, what exactly does this bill achieve? What problem exists that this bill attempts to cure, Mr. President? So I move now to the duty to retreat, which is the second main feature of the bill. Now, that is captured firstly at clause 4 of the bill. Subject to the provisions of this act, an occupant of a dwelling house, and of course the definition of what an occupant is and what a dwelling house is. A, has no duty to retreat from a home invader at the dwelling house, and B, the right to stand his ground and use or threaten to use defensive force to protect himself, another person, or his property from a home invader, Mr. President. And heavy weather was made by my learned friend about the duty to retreat. I don't know how to put this any simply than just to put it very simply. There is no duty to retreat right now. So again, this bill does nothing to introduce something new into law. Please, Mr. President. This is where the messaging behind this piece of legislation gets really bad. You see, because the population is told about this removal of the duty to retreat from the home invader, and that you have the right to stand your ground in self-defense and protect your property and so on. Now, I want to refer to an authority here, which is the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Judicial Education Institute Criminal Benchbook 2015. It's a publication of the Judicial Education Institute of Trinidad and Tobago, please, Mr. President. And at page 214 thereof, there's a section entitled Self-Defense. And it reads as follows. The accepted statement of law on self-defense is found in Palmer, 1971, Privy Council, Jamaica. The Court of Appeal in Trinidad and Tobago synthesizes essential principles to be extracted from Palmer in Stephen Robinson, a case I will mention later on. And it goes as follows. 1. A person who is attacked is entitled to defend himself. 2. In defending himself, he is entitled to do what is reasonably necessary. 3. The defensive action must not be out of proportion of the attack. 4. In a moment of crisis, a person may not be able to weigh to nicety the exact measure of his necessary defensive action. I'm emphasizing this a little bit because it provides clarity. It says that, basically, that in the heat of the moment, while you are under attack, the law does not require you to stop, as my learned friend tried to allude to stop and assess what is the degree of force coming at me. What can I do commensurate with that? It does not require you to do that. It says very clearly, a person may not be able to weigh to nicety the exact measure of his necessary defensive action. 5. In a moment of anguish, a person may do what he honestly and instinctively thought was necessary. Number 6. If there has been no attack, then the issue of self-defense does not arise. And it goes on to say, the Court of Appeal directed that judges must direct the jury that an intention to kill is not inconsistent with self-defense. Now, that is rather interesting. So I'll move 2 pages ahead here to the notes section. And it says here at paragraph 2, direction on intention to kill and self-defense. Self-defense in Trinidad and Tobago is governed by the common law, and thus a trial judge's direction to the jury must accurately reflect the common law. Palmer and R, 1971, Appeals Cases 814, is still regarded as a classic pronouncement upon the common law relating to self-defense. Lord Morris approved as correct the self-defense direction given by the trial judge, who had stated, quote, a man who is attacked in circumstances where he reasonably believes his life to be in danger, or that he is in danger of serious bodily harm, may use such force as on reasonable ground he believes is necessary to prevent and resist the attack. Prevent, which is anticipatory of an attack, and resist, meaning literal resistance of an ensuing attack. And if in using such force he kills his assailant, he is not guilty of any crime, even if the killing was intentional. Now that's interesting there, Mr. Chairman. You see, to my mind, this refers and speaks directly to licensed firearm owners in Trinidad and Tobago. Because the question necessarily arises, well, if you own a firearm, you're in your home, somebody breaks down your door 2 o'clock in the morning, and you acting responsibly and within your training and the confines of the law, point your licensed firearm in the direction of that intruder, and you discharge a round. Well, what is a firearm intended to do? It's certainly not, it's not designed with the intention to harm somebody. That might be an occurrence that happens, but generally speaking, firearms are intended to kill people. And so, can it then be argued, perhaps it can, that the firearm owner, by using the firearm in defense of his property, formed an intention to kill? But the law covers you here. It says, he is not guilty of any crime, even if the killing was intentional. Now, of course, this will not go as far as to say that one must form the intention, a man come in my house, I'm going to kill him. You mustn't presuppose you're going to kill anybody or pre-plan to kill anybody, but certainly, if you are faced with an offense, as the homeowner, somebody has charged you for murder, saying that you intended to kill that bandit, and that is why you point your firearm at him, and in the charge around in his direction, and he's died. Even if the court were to find that there was an intention to kill by the use of the firearm, you're covered here, under self-defense. There's another direction here quoted, and this is the case of Batiste. Another important direction that the judge must give to a jury in appropriate cases is that an intention to kill is not inconsistent with the establishment of the plea, not only to self-defense, but also to provocation. A different issue, so I wouldn't go down there, Mr. Speaker. So are we still going to pretend that there's insufficiency? Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, my sincere apologies. Mr. President, my sincere apologies. And I want to thank my learned friend for correcting me. So are we still going to be talking about the insufficiency of the current law, Mr. President? So I move now to the question of property rights here. As it relates, and I'll just be very quick on it, as it relates to the issue of constitutionality, and it is rather a question than a statement. You see, the bill in clause 2 defines a few things. One is associated place, and it goes on B to say any place where a dwelling house is one of two or more dwelling houses in one building or group of buildings. Now, this refers practically to an apartment building or a cluster of apartment buildings, or perhaps a gated community or a residential area, right? Because you have a group of buildings that occupants of the dwelling houses use in common with each other. So let's talk about IHCC development that has a common footpath, perhaps a recreational area, and so on. That's a common area. It goes then to also describe curtilage in relation to a dwelling house, means an area immediately surrounding or adjacent to the dwelling house, which is used for purposes connected with human habitation in conjunction with the dwelling house, regardless of whether the area, A, is surrounded by a fence, a natural boundary, or a combination of both, or B, is enclosed in a manner that indicates the occupant's intention to keep persons off of his property. Now, that B there refers quite literally to an area that is unfenced, that is not demarcated, telling any visitors to the area that the owner of that parcel of land or the occupant of that parcel of land's intention is to keep you, the visitor to the area, off of his property, but does not include any other part of the area that is a public place. All right. Let's go a little further here. Where is the public place? Let me see. Public place means an indoor or outdoor area, whether privately or publicly owned, to which the public has access by right or by invitation, expressed or implied, whether by payment of money or not, but does not include any premises in actual use for a dwelling house, which are not used for commercial purposes. All right, so it distinguishes here what a public place is as opposed to a private place. But there is, by the definition in curtilage and associated place, and even with the combination of the definition of public place, a restriction on the public's right to access certain areas that might be considered either a common area or might be considered a public place, Mr. Speaker. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I ask the question again whether it might be more useful to reintroduce what was previously clause 2 of the bill that was circulated for public discourse in respect of the constitutionality. Yes, please.
Flow. But we have some students, young students in the public gallery, and they do have a performance to engage in, and they have to leave in the next 2 minutes. So I wanted you, honorable senators, to join me in recognizing the Maria Regina Grade School Choir present in the public gallery, and to also indicate and to remind senators that these students are here to perform and to engage in a performance, I should say, in the rotunda of the Parliament, the Red House, at 12:30 as part of the Christmas at the Parliament series. So I'd like us to warmly recognize. And at the same time, to put all senators on notice that we will have to take an early break because we want to give the students the necessary support in the rotunda when they perform at 12:30 p.m. So I put you on notice that we will go and we will all join in supporting these students. Thank you very much. I recognize Senator Sanchez.
Thank you very kindly. Wrap up? Thank you very kindly. And I greet the visitors very warmly this morning. I'm glad for the honor and privilege to be on my legs when being visited by our nation's future, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I respectfully ask whether I can have an indication of time?
You finish exactly at, I think, 12:08 I have you.
I'm indeed grateful, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Mr. President, I'm going to move into some statistics now. And I'll start by mentioning that even the Law Review Commission's document that was published by the Attorney General's office, again for public consultation, made reference and indication to the statistics in Florida, indicating that there was an increase in violent crime, in gun crime, in murders after stand your ground legislation was introduced there several years ago. But I want to look at some local statistics here. I have them here from the TTPS website, Mr. President. So I'm looking at these statistics for robberies. And very interestingly, Mr. President, you see, and I'm saying interestingly here because the public wouldn't be told this, you know. The public will not be told this by my learned friends on the other side. Between 2023 and 2024, the crime of robberies decreased by 8.2%, Mr. President. Larceny dwelling house, very topical in relation to this bill. There was a decrease in 2023 of 16.7%, and a further decrease on that in 2024 of 6.7%, Mr. President. And all crimes, total crimes, between 2023 to 2024, or in 2024 rather, there was an overall decrease in crimes reported by 8.5%, Mr. President. So when we are told that nothing was done and crime was uncontrolled and it was increasing at a rate that was so unthinkable, that is simply not true. And again, I repeat, these are statistics available on TTPS's website. And I specifically pulled these statistics on the 17th of September, 2025. Please, Mr. President. But this morning, Mr. President, I went back on the website because you may have seen, Mr. President, in the news that for some time there were no statistics at all in 2025 on the TTPS website. In fact, there were some from the beginning of the year and then they were removed. I was happy to see this morning that they were returned, Mr. President. And so I looked at them. Woundings and shootings, and I'm going to look directly from the website. Woundings and shootings, Mr. President, in 2025 reported April 40, May 52, June 49, July 46, August 50, September 51. That is woundings. Robberies. Robberies in April, 141. May, 187. June, 149. July, 187. August, 130. September, 141. Kidnapping, 2025. And I'm pulling it live. Kidnapping, generate report. April 9, May 10, June 14, July 11, August 5, September 10. Larceny dwelling house, topical. May 13, June. Oh, sorry, let me start with April, Mr. President. How could I do that? April 4, May 13, June 11, July 9, August 9, September 11, Mr. President. Those are the facts. That is right this minute from TTPS's website. So, Mr. President, the narrative. You know, the last time I was on my legs and I spoke about misinformation being thrust upon an unsuspecting population, please, Mr. President. But I did say that the population is no longer unsuspecting. They're very suspicious and very alerted to the misinformation that comes from the other side, Mr. President. Now, Mr. President, I want to talk again. I want to return a little bit to the holders of licensed firearms in this country, please, Mr. Speaker, who might take great solace with the messaging that is accompanying this bill, but not necessarily the substance of it. And Mr. President, for a very long time, the process of gun ownership in Trinidad, lawful gun ownership, has been a long and arduous and oftentimes arbitrary process. And some persons are asked to submit evidence in support that other people may not be asked to provide, Mr. President. At least that is my information. But one of the things that concerns firearm owners in our consultations, it has arisen, and of course, we on this side conducted national consultations, not party consultations. We conducted national consultations in Port of Spain, in Arima, in Central, in South Trinidad. So when a firearm owner, lawful firearm owner, fuel owner, discharges his firearm, what happens, Mr. President? Well, what happens, the police attend the scene, they take initial statements, and then they seize that firearm. They take the firearm from the firearm owner under the guise, well, it's perhaps not a guise, but with the communication to the gun owner that they're going to conduct some forensic examination on the firearm, perhaps a ballistic examination or so on, which I have learned is to determine, as a matter of fact, that the firearm discharged the actual projectile that might have been recovered or so on. So the question is, Mr. President, if that is the case, why in the very first bill that has come to address criminality in this country, why hasn't there been any attempt to deal with those issues? If it is the narrative is load up the matic, knock it on them, empty the clip twice, when this bill does absolutely nothing to address firearm issues, legal firearm issues at all, why hasn't anybody come to the parliament to say, I'm going to stop that ballistics thing? Because when you buy a firearm, within a matter of days, the regulations require you to attend the forensic sciences complex and engage in a ballistic testing in the first place. So what is the need to do it again? Now, of course, when you're doing it the second time, after the user has used the firearm, he is now left or she is now left without any firearm. The bandits already know you had a firearm. They know the process too. You take the firearm from them, and now they are left unprotected. And guess what? This piece of paper here ain't protecting them either. So why not do away with that and allow people to retain their firearms after they've used it lawfully, Mr. President? Those are the types of pieces of legislation we want to see on this side. Now, Mr. President, I want to refer to an article here, Mr. President. This article is dated the 3rd of May 2023, and it is published in the Daily Express, the Trinidad Express newspaper. I'm going to quote from this article, please. Within recent times, there has emerged a spirited, if not oftentimes borderline acrimonious public debate on the issue of the right of a homeowner to mount a defense of deadly force in the face of a perceived grave, imminent, and perhaps deadly attack. In this instance, there is no need to proceed on what may amount to be an ill-conceived legislative dash to enact specific provisions which already form part of the common law. The writer says, in my respectful view, the common law in relation to self-defense has at its heart the underlying fundamental notions of the stand your ground principle.
Who is the writer?
The writer is none other than attorney at law, Mr. Jagdeo Singh, sir. Yes. Very important, I thank you. So Mr. Singh writes, whilst labeling this discrete principle of the common law with a sensational banner is somewhat attractive, it must not be forgotten that the common law of self-defense already offers the same degree of protection to persons and homeowners than a separate stand-your-ground legislative provision would provide. In short, there is no need for new legislation. What is needed is clear and unmistakable policy guidelines which cover both the investigative and prosecutorial stages of the criminal justice system, with particular sensitivity to cases involving home invasions. And the learned and eminent senior attorney goes on to quote Palmer and R, the same case I quoted twice, and he goes on to list the elements stated there. And I move on. It seems to be that there is a collective societal misconception that a person under a threat, real or perceived, is under a duty to retreat. That is simply not so, Mr. President. That means he is concluding here in his observations that society as a whole misconceives, is under the mistaken belief that someone under a threat, whether the threat is real or whether they believe the threat to be real, is under a duty to retreat, and that is simply not so. The current common law imposes no such duty on a person. A person under threat is thereby fully justified in standing and meeting that threat with a necessary and proportionate use of force, Mr. President. If the above compendium of principles is considered collectively, it becomes immediately apparent that a separate stand-your-ground statutory provision is wholly unnecessary and will be mere statutory surplusage. Now, the author is a man of description. What this means here is, if you consider the principles that he has set out in the article, if you consider it together, one cannot help but conclude, it is inescapably conclusive, that separate stand-your-ground statutory provisions become unnecessary and is a statutory surplusage, meaning a mere excess of legislation, a duplicitous legislation, please. Every precaution must be taken to ensure that homeowners merely defending themselves are not thereby cast under the shadow of a criminal investigation. Now, that to me again brings me back to the speed at which this previous administration has gotten criminal proceedings too, Mr. President. But I've already made that point, so I'll move on. And in conclusion of this article, not necessarily of my point, not necessarily of my contribution. Yes, please. Oh, I'm grateful. There is often the complaint that unnecessary laws are oftentimes enacted. In this case, such a complaint would be entirely justifiable. A fair, reasonable, proportionate, and sensitive application of the common law already provides a comprehensive framework in this area of law. That is the end of this article, please. So, in winding up, does this bill, if enacted, provide a homeowner with any protections they do not currently have? Mr. President, the answer is no. Does this bill protect the firearm owner any more than he is currently protected in law? Mr. President, the answer is no. Does this bill enhance the police's ability to deter, detect, arrest, charge, or successfully prosecute criminals engaged in home invasions? The answer, Mr. President, is no. Does this bill allow any person to obtain more speedily a firearm or a matic? The answer, Mr. President, is no. Does this bill allow any person with a matic to knock it on them, to empty the clip, to load up the clip again and knock it on them again? The answer, Mr. President, is no. This bill is simply statutory surplusage, and the government must be honest and upfront with the people of Trinidad and Tobago about that. Do not give people in this country false information. Do not give them misinformation. Do not give them unjustifiable guarantees, Mr. President, that you cannot deliver, and false hope that this bill is going to achieve anything. Mr. President, this bill achieves nothing. I thank you very sincerely for the opportunity to contribute, Mr. President.
Senator Michael S.V. de la Bastide, SC.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, in making my contribution to this debate, I will first consider and comment on the provisions in the bill, which is before this chamber, and then I will say a few words about the likely impact of the bill on the lives of the majority of the population where home invasions are concerned. Mr. President, in this country there is no statute which deals in a comprehensive manner or which sets out in a comprehensive manner the law relating to the circumstances in which occupants of houses or homes may use force to repel home invaders, or the degree to which, or the extent of the force which they can use. In this regard, we rely on the common law. The common law, the origins of the common law with respect to those matters goes back to the early 17th century, as the Honorable Attorney General said. Now, other developed common law jurisdictions have long ago passed legislation codifying, clarifying, and expanding on the common law. And I think it is time that we did so. So I commend the government in bringing this bill to Parliament to the extent that it represents an attempt to, through legislation, to clarify, develop, and codify the common law with respect to the law on self-defense in the home invasion context. I think it is important to stress, and I think it has been stressed, that this bill is just dealing with setting out the circumstances in which you can use force and the degree of that force that you can use in the home context. Doesn't apply, and I think it's important for the population to know that it doesn't apply to businesses and public places. While I commend, Mr. President, while I commend the government in bringing this legislation forward, I found that some of the provisions in the bill were less than clear, and some of them I have, a few of them I have some serious concerns about. I begin by considering the purpose of the bill, and that is really set out largely in the preamble, but I can summarize it broadly by saying that it's twofold. First of all, it's to create what might be called a home invasion offense, an offense that for home invasion, and secondly, to define the circumstances in which the occupants of a dwelling are permitted to use force to repel such an invasion, and the degree and the extent and nature of the force with which they may do so. So I am afraid, Mr. President, I am going to go through some of the sections of the bill and look at them, consider them, and critique them. And that may not be the most exciting thing, but I think it is necessary. If I go to the interpretation section, section 3, I just want to flag the term curtilage. It says curtilage in relation to the dwelling house means an area immediately surrounding or adjacent to the dwelling house, which is used for purposes connected with human habitation in conjunction with the dwelling house. And this, importantly, Mr. President, regardless of whether the area is surrounded by a fence, a natural boundary, or a combination of both, or regardless of whether it is enclosed in a manner that indicates the occupant's intention to keep persons off his property. And why I think this is significant, Mr. President, is that it means that a passerby may well enter into the curtilage of a dwelling house without realizing he's doing so, and whom it could not reasonably be expected that he would appreciate that fact. And I'll come back to that later. We have deadly force defined and defensive force, and these are not distinct concepts. You can have force that is both deadly and defensive. Then we have dwelling house. Dwelling house includes, and it sets out A, B, C, and D. Now, A talks about any structure or part structure, whether permanent, etc. And that definition would accord with what the ordinary meaning of what a dwelling house is. Less so B. B includes any adjacent land, building or other structure within the same curtilage as a dwelling house and occupied for the same purpose. Now, it doesn't say that the adjacent land has to be fenced or enclosed in any way. And so there's nothing to suggest that that is a requirement or an ingredient of the definition of dwelling house. And so again, my concern is someone may enter into a dwelling house without realizing that he's doing so, because he enters into unfenced open land, which happens to be used by the adjoining occupant of the dwelling house for maybe intermittent activities related to the dwelling house, such as, I don't know, burning rubbish from time to time or parking cars from time to time. And he may enter into the dwelling house without appreciating that fact. And that concern is heightened by the fact that something can be a dwelling house, even if the dwelling house is from time to time uninhabited. That's how the definition ends. It says, and it is material if the dwelling house is from time to time uninhabited. And then when we have the definition of enters in relation to a dwelling house means any intrusion by a person or an instrument they control. And I go to B now, into the curtilage of a dwelling house. So you can, this specifically seems to suggest that you can enter into an open space of land adjacent to a dwelling house, which you could not be reasonably expected to know is curtilage, because it doesn't have to be bounded by anything. And then when we come to section 5.1, which creates the home invasion offense, we see that you may have already completed you may have committed one of the factual ingredients, as it were, to a home invasion offense without even realizing without even realizing that fact. So with that in mind, Mr. President, if I can go to section 5.1. Section 5.1 creates the home invasion offense, which I think it's to be commended that we have an attempt to create this offense, our offense dedicated to home invasion. And so I want to, again, to the extent that I'm critiquing this legislation, I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's not necessary. So I want that to be, I want that everyone to bear that in mind. anyway, the home invasion offense broadly consists of two elements. First of all, you have to enter into the dwelling house in one of the ways set out from A to E. And at the same time, you have to commit one of the acts set out at F to L. But with respect to the first ingredient, I come back to my concern that you may be entering into a dwelling house when in circumstances in which it could not be reasonably expected that you would be aware of that fact. So we have a scenario where you have a passerby, he enters onto some open land next to a dwelling house. There's nothing really there that would make it clear to him that that is part of something called curtilage. The occupant comes onto the land of the dwelling house and says he has to get off. This is his dwelling house, as it were. The passerby doesn't appreciate that fact. He resists. He says, I have every right to be here as much as you do. The occupier then decides he's going to use defensive force to try and remove him. And they get into an altercation. And the occupier is injured. And then you have the passerby maybe being charged or even convicted with an offense of home invasion. And this would be under F1E. And I could see it happening. He could be charged under F1E and 51E and 51H. So I think that scenario where you have someone committing an offense when they really could not be expected to be aware of that is unjust. And so I would suggest an amendment to that section, that the definitions of curtilage and land be amended to state, if, for example, we took dwelling house, where it says dwelling house includes B, any adjacent land, it should be amended to say any adjacent land which is fenced or enclosed in a manner that indicates the occupant's intention to exclude persons from the said land. And curtilage should be amended in a similar manner. Let us say we take out the words regardless of whether the area and replace it with which. So it would say, in conjunction with the dwelling house, which is surrounded by a fence, etc., and be enclosed in a manner. And in that way, there will be some the passerby in my example would have some certainty as to where he can go or not, as the case may be. I move on to section 6. And I had a little, perhaps it's my own fault, Mr. President, but I had a little trouble arriving at what I believe is the correct construction, but never mind. Section 6.1 says that the occupant has no duty to retreat and has a right to stand his ground and use or threaten to use defensive force. So defensive force is basically reasonable force or force that is reasonable and justified while acting in self-defense. So that is the force that Section 6.1 allows you to use, but it only allows you to use that force in certain circumstances, the circumstances being that you have to have a certain belief or you have to have a certain state of mind. And the state of mind is set out at 6.1a to c. These are the things you must believe. If you don't believe these things, then you can't use defensive force. That is how I construe the section. So even if, in fact, on the facts on the ground as they are, the force that you use would be reasonable and justified, if you don't have that state of mind, you can't use that force, even if it's reasonable force. So I think the intention of the drafters is to make it a prerequisite that you have the right state of mind or the right motive. So for example, if you have an occupant and he he sees a gentleman in the yard, and he believes him to be stealing mangoes because for the last 6 months, people have been coming and stealing mangoes, and he's fed up, and he pulls out a gun, and he shoots. Maybe he doesn't mean to kill the guy, but he kills the man or he injures him seriously. And then the police come, and they find that the man had a gun, and he had instruments to break in the place. And they find an accomplice outside, and the accomplice tells them, hey, our intention was to go in there and murder and rape. The shooting of the man might be, on the facts on the ground, reasonable and justified. But because he didn't have that motive, he didn't have that belief, it wasn't used for the purpose of defending himself, he would not be able to use defensive force. It would not be a defense to any action, any prosecution brought against him. So I have no problem with that.
As I indicated, we have to take the suspension at this time to give support to the students who are here to perform as part of the Parliament series, Christmas series. At this time, we'll want to suspend, and we shall resume at 1:30 p.m. The sitting is now suspended.
What time is it?
They go We need to move quickly. Our plan is foolproof.
Agreed, but we must keep it hidden from them.
And you'll be safe. Trinidad is not a target. Tobago is not a target. So I totally disagree with the narrative out there by some, that we're exposing our nationals to danger. As Farley said it earlier, there's war and there are rumors of war. There is no war. T&T is not a target. The targets are narco-traffickers, gun runners. Farley said it earlier, there's war and there are rumors of war.
The deception of Farley Augustine and Kamla Persad-Bissessar, unmasking the lies and cover-ups. Farley Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, and Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar have built a public image of cooperative leadership. Yet their repeated secret meetings and synchronized denials reveal a calculated conspiracy to mislead the public on critical issues like the radar system, a radar surveillance network now linked to US military involvement in Tobago. Pattern of secret meetings and denials. In May 2025, they held a 5-hour closed-door session on Tobago's autonomy, development, and national security, despite Kamla's public denials of any alliance with Farley's TPP. A viral April 2025 voice note alleging election deals and funding talks prompted Kamla to label it fake and AI-generated, while Farley dismissed it as foolishness to stay focused. November 2025 saw Kamla's official Tobago visit, hosted by Farley, including national security briefings, yet no prior public notice was given, fueling secrecy claims. This timeline shows coordination. They meet privately, then issue matching deflections to shield political motives. The radar system cover-up. Farley claims total ignorance of the radar system, a government radar setup tracking sea and land crafts from a Tobago communications center. Kamla admits US military upgrades but insists it's purely for security like drug interdiction, omitting full public details. Their aligned silence suggests complicity in hiding operational scope, eroding trust on issues hitting everyday Tobagonians. Why trust is broken? Friends like Farley and Kamla conspire through lies, denying alliances despite evidence, feigning ignorance on radar tech amid US ties. This prioritizes backroom power over transparency, confirming they're not leveling with citizens. Call to action. Demand accountability now. Citizens must act to break this cycle. Flood social media. Share facts on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube with #ExposeRedAlies and #TobagoTruth. Tag at Farley Augustine and at Kamla Persad-Bissessar for viral pressure. Petition the THA. Demand Farley release full radar system docs and meeting minutes from Kamla talks. Use change.org for mass signatures. Rally locally. Organize Tobago town halls and protests at assembly grounds. Live stream via Prism Live Studio for national reach. Vote with eyes open. In upcoming elections, back independents exposing these deals. Research TPPM ties independently. File FOI requests, submit Freedom of Information Act queries to National Security Ministry on radar funding and US involvement. Transparency starts with you. Don't let their conspiracy silence Tobago's voice. Share this post and hold them accountable.
We saw in under 24 hours, the Prime Minister would have said that she had no information that U.S. military personnel were in Trinidad and Tobago, only for her to flip-flop on that position and then indicate that they were installing a radar in Tobago apart from paving roadways. Could you just share with me the opposition's concerns, if any, based on what the Prime Minister has revealed?
This demonstrates that the Prime Minister is a pathological liar. The Prime Minister has never been fought with this country on these matters involving the United States of America and Venezuela. The opposition has repeatedly called for the Prime Minister and the government to be forthright with the people of Trinidad and Tobago on these very important matters. And unfortunately, she has not. She is the leader of the government that has not been forthright on this very matter. And her ministers who come to Parliament and they are asked critical questions on these very important matters constantly invoke standing orders of the Parliament to not account to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So they are obviously following in vain with the Prime Minister, and I am not surprised that she had to do an about turn, a flip-flop. She should be embarrassed. She should apologize to the people of Trinidad and Tobago for not being forthright and perhaps blatantly lying to the population on this very important matter. Today, I am being told that the people of Tobago are very traumatized by these developments, and you would have seen a news release from the THA where the Chief Secretary has confirmed that he has not been contacted with on this very important issue. So it tells you where we are in the state of governance in Trinidad and Tobago. And the people of Trinidad and Tobago should be very concerned that you have a head of government, a head of cabinet, none other than the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, not being prepared to speak to you on these very important matters.
What sort of questions do you have for the government and the Prime Minister? Because we heard the United States President saying that land operations are to occur soon in Venezuela, and of course concerns relating to that as well.
The Prime Minister should do as we have been asking her to do, to communicate with the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. That is all we are asking her. Be transparent. We are seeing the visiting of high military officials from the United States. She should communicate with the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Opposition Leader, if you could...
At this time, we've had some issues with the existing radar systems and their capabilities. The new radar equipment being installed in Tobago is being installed to strengthen our capabilities and to assist us with counter-trafficking in terms of drugs, arms and ammunition, and interestingly human trafficking, which is becoming somewhat of an issue in Tobago. You may not know that there have been and continue to be illegal flights almost daily, inclusive of drone flights, which deliver drugs and guns from the mainland, as the traffickers have now... At this time, we've had some issues with the existing radar systems and their capabilities. The new radar equipment being installed in Tobago is being installed to strengthen our capabilities and to assist us with counter-trafficking in terms of drugs, arms and ammunition, and interestingly human trafficking, which is becoming somewhat of an issue in Tobago. You may not know that there have been and continue to be illegal flights almost daily, inclusive of drone flights, which deliver drugs and guns from the mainland, as the traffickers have now grown some common sense and
understand the entire world is telling you, Trinidad and Tobago, that what is taking place next door in Venezuela will affect us. But yet still you are seeing dotish ministers, people like Roger Alexander, King Dotish, and you are seeing Farley Augustine and his ministers trying to rationalize to you that we don't need to fear in this country of Trinidad and Tobago. And the whole world is saying different. It's the same thing that would have taken place with the COVID-19. The world is saying something different to what we are saying here in Trinidad and Tobago. And some of us must ask ourselves, why we even self entertaining some of these politicians and them. Honest to God, Kamla Persad-Bissessar do not deserve our ears here right about now. Because we are seeing a total difference to the same person who was in opposition. We are seeing a total difference to when this lady here is in government. She's showing scant courtesy for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to the people that would have supported her directly or indirectly to be the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And up till now, you cannot come up with a plan as to tell us what is our fate. The whole world is saying that we are going to be affected here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we are seeing ministers in government while wearing jacket and tie. And then at the end of the day, Farley is coming to ask you for your vote there in Tobago. My God. My God, Tobago. For people that would have spit in the face of governance here in Trinidad and Tobago, would have spit in the face of the PNM, would have spit in the face of the UNC, and voting a total new administration that would have formed just months before the election, taking this from Farley Augustine and his two ministers of stupidity. My God, I thought at the end of the day, when these two ministers would have been elected, we would have changed the face of politics within Trinidad and Tobago, but not to see that Farley Augustine, that low-life politician who listen not to the people anymore, people who is family to the people in Tobago, is crying out they lost their CPEP, their URP, and their government posts. They would have been fired by the UNC. And then he come in to ask Oya for your vote. By you. We playing with ministers too much. We playing with them too much. Yeah, we playing with them too much. Too much.
The deception of Farley Augustine and Kamla Persad-Bissessar, unmasking the lies and cover-ups. Farley Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, and Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar have built a public image of cooperative leadership. Yet their repeated secret meetings and synchronized denials reveal a calculated conspiracy to mislead the public on critical issues like the radar system, a radar surveillance network now linked to US military involvement in Tobago. Pattern of secret meetings and denials. In May 2025, they held
airport. You see that camouflage thing spinning in the air there? That's our new road. That's the road that the Prime Minister said a few days ago was being built by a foreign government to assist us here in Tobago. That's not a radar, that's a road, according to our Prime Minister. And according to your Chief Secretary, people of Tobago, this is a refueling plane. And according to the MP for Tobago East, Mr. David Thomas, with your shameless self, according to him, this is standard international upgrades to our new airport. This camouflage device, according to David Thomas, they are taking us for fools. I am saying to her, on behalf of the people of Tobago, we do not want that here. And whatever arrangements you have with any foreign government, as the government of Trinidad and Tobago, take that device to Trinidad. And I mean no disrespect to the people of Trinidad, my brothers and sisters there. If you all don't want it there, then you treat with that, with your government. So let me say this in good Tobago dialect. We no want them here. Take your soul and carry them back to Trinidad. We no want them here. Are we saw a dagawa? And I'm saying to the Chief Secretary, it's time to break ranks and put the people of Tobago first. Tobago must be placed first by you for the very first time. I know you have a good relationship with the UNC. I know you all are in bed together. But if she considered you, she would have told you beforehand that they were going to do this nonsense to negatively impact the lives of the people of Tobago. And the fact that she did not tell you means that she did not consider you to be important. And I'm saying to you, Mr. Chief Secretary, it is time to break ranks with your UNC friends on this matter, because this is a matter where the people of Tobago must be placed first, above your political convenience, above your personal relationships, and above your personal ambitions. So I'm calling on you, Mr. Chief Secretary, put Tobago first.
The people of Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister of this country, would have seen it fit to lie to the entire Republic. And we must take retribution against that. I ain't saying to go and blow up nobody's house. I ain't saying that. We must make our voices known. Every one of you must make your suggestion known in the public domain. Any of you that have Facebook, YouTube, Twitter must voice. Yellow is the curse and not the code. They're taking this thing too far. Pick up your phones, log on to Facebook, to YouTube, and to all social media platforms, and say big and bold, yellow is the curse. This is your lion Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
There's nothing much more to say, Akash. I'm sorry. What I put out yesterday, I can read it back to you. We had a very good meeting, very pleasant, bilateral relations. We are both committed to the narco-trafficking, against it, against the human trafficking,
yes,
against the drug running, you know. And that's what we reaffirmed in that meeting yesterday.
Any mention of Venezuela?
You will not believe? The answer is no.
Nothing at all?
No.
Has this government taken any decision with respect to the U.S. declaring the Maduro regime a terrorist organization?
No, we have not. We have not gone down that pathway. No, we have
Does
not.
the government recognize Maduro as the legitimate president of Venezuela?
I will tell you this: we stand with the people of Venezuela. we stand with the people of Venezuela.
We saw pictures of a U.S. Air Force aircraft in Tobago today. Can you tell us?
Could you give us a little update on that in terms of whether permission was sought by the U.S. to enter Trinidad and Tobago's waters?
I have seen no ship. Nobody have sent any ship to me. So the only way I can answer that is I have no idea if there's a ship there. You see? If I saw a ship there and you see me present, then you ask me about the ship. I don't know. I have no answers for that as a stand because I know I haven't seen any ship.
I did send you a WhatsApp earlier on today. I don't know if you saw it as yet, with a foreign media house pointing out the ship in the Gulf of Paria, a U.S. warship.
Well, the foreign media house probably needs to see me if they want to answer for me and ask me this ship and take me to the ship and say this ship I'm talking about. And that's it.
And any update at all you could give between the U.S. and the Venezuelan tension?
Well, I cannot speak to the tension. What I can tell you is this. The presence of the United States in international waters continues to benefit the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because now persons are hesitating, or there's great hesitation in persons bringing in guns, illegal drugs, and performing this act of human trafficking. That much I can tell you.
No.
So I continue to shower praises on them. Our borders was very porous over the years. And we have some friends or partners with us that is assisting that. What else can we say? What else can you ask for? It's all about making your country safe.
No, the U.S.
So Alexander ain't see no ship. No ship outside in the water. You won't see nothing. The Minister of Homeland Security, the man that is tasked with the responsibility in looking after the safety of Trinidad and Tobago. You won't see no ship outside there. And I would have put out a question earlier, Trinidad and Tobago. Do you have confidence in this administration when we sure, positively sure, when the media just being nice, when they say Kamla Persad-Bissessar double down on what she's saying and she's trying to justify the lie, the nasty, stinking lie that she would have put outside there within the public, that they are here to build roads. My God, at least Kamla, man, ease me up with that nonsense that you just be talking some of the times. And I mean, some of the gullible supporters and them are engaged in the same thing. And what they are doing to you online, they are engaging in online bullying. When they see that they have people is releasing intelligent responses, they are engaging in online bullying to bully you off of social media, to bully you off the sense that you have, that you are emitting within the public domain. They are there to bully you, and there are lists of people. We are going to deliver the list. But here is what the international audience is saying concerning what could take place here.
If the U.S. did strike inside Venezuela, what kind of retaliation might we see?
International audience is saying this.
If the U.S. did strike inside Venezuela, what kind of retaliation might we see from Nicolas Maduro, and what might it look like?
Well, I don't think there's any question that if you're going to conduct land attacks and you're going to start throwing bombs in Venezuela itself, that they are going to defend themselves, and they're going to try to strike back. And that means that we could lose lives. And it's for that reason that I think it's really important that the President of the United States take some time here to try to understand just exactly what are the objectives. You can't just do this by the seat of your pants. That's too much firepower. And one accident, one misplaced target could result in a small war with Venezuela.
the international media is saying about us here in Trinidad and Tobago and what could happen and the possibility of a strike, what could take place. And you hearing these shameless ministers and them, all of them, don't get frightened. Bye.
If the U.S. did strike inside Venezuela, what kind of retaliation might we see from Nicolas Maduro, and what might it look like?
Well, I don't think there's any question that if you're going to conduct land attacks and you're going to start throwing bombs in Venezuela itself, that they are going to defend themselves and they're going to try to strike back. And that means that we could lose lives. And it's for that reason that I think it's really important that the President of the United States takes some time here to try to understand just exactly what are the objectives. You can't just do this by the seat of your pants. That's too much firepower. And one accident, one misplaced target could result in a small war with Venezuela.
Right, Trinidad and Tobago. That is what the international audience is saying. The international media is saying that. And we are hearing a different tonation from members of government, including David Thompson and Joel Sampson and Farley Augustine, that would have brought a lot of hope to the people of Tobago and Tobagonians. And it's a fair assessment by Ansel Dellis when he called out to the Chief Secretary to break rank. Don't be a lover of office. If it is the office giving you a cock stand, when they see girls, they're running after you. If that give you a cock stand, then I suggest that you get a different vice. Because what you are doing, Farley, by supporting this administration right now in this present incarnation, you are bringing death on the people of Trinidad and Tobago, including your families and them.
You are the financial support of the UNC. PNM don't have UNC money and UNC bank. Trust what I'm telling you. Look how much years the PNM take raffle how much thing they do to build, to fix the Balize house up in Congo. How much years? Yeah. The PNM have that kind of money. What UNC have? Nah man, UNC finance is different. That whole different kettle of fish. And people don't understand that. Because this election here, she was banking. Why you feel after the election, all that stuff, bacanas and happening, finances and things with wages and all of them, because real people put money for them, and I must promise a lot of things. And this is what will not happen to everybody. Just remember, this is the first year. This is the first couple months, and we have a whole 5 years to go with this government. And then after we have an aging prime minister who can hardly walk and kill contain all over the place. She's 73 years now. By the next election, she could be 78. We want to see if they can make, if they can make 2 to 5 years, and if they got who will be the leader next.
The whole party need to go on a kind of ship with no engine and just see the whole party. That geriatric cabinet.
Yeah.
Everybody mad there, nobody have no sense there.
No, but PNM caused that. PNM caused the UNC to come in their backyard and mash them up. Because they get arrogant.
Yeah, they arrogant for communication skills.
Yeah, they get arrogant because they forget the people, they forget the supporters on the ground, the real hardcore supporters, and plenty of them turn on them.
Yeah.
Because everybody eating their food now, everybody gets through and everybody looking for food or whatever. But you see what has happened. When you have some of them inside of the attitude problem, and they have to come down from there with that shit. If they want to get back into power in the next 5 years, they have to come down from there with that shit.
Still have because I'm not call no names here, but they still have some arrogance on it. Like you wanna call
you have some of them very arrogant, and they like this interpretation. They want to play this highfalutin thing. That ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Understand? That podium thing ain't working. Or they have come down from there.
One and that man was arrogant. I wouldn't call his name, but he was controlling before brand manning. That man very ignorant. That man is see him turn up his face and take
Yeah.
His name started
Attitude.
Yeah,
I know.
You see very quick from there, he driving a Prado and he see me and he turn off his face and say like, he feel like, man,
stay where you want. That is why Dr. Rowley wanted Young to be there, because he shows some kind of different correspond with the people and how we will go down with that thing.
Yes.
I want to meet Penny, and I want to sit down and talk to Penny. I need to have a discussion with Penny because a lot of people right now in the party, a lot of people are getting a lot of complaints about from people. That people love her. They love Penny. I love Penny to the fullest, and I will support her to the fullest going on. But the thing is, she needs to step up again. She needs to be a little more aggressive. She needs to start to pelt some punch. Because she pelting punch, but she pelted some little soft, some little powder puff. Everything really reaching them.
She bobbing and weaving too much.
Yeah, and I know she's a person, she's a classy person. And as long so she will always try and comport herself in a particular type of way. And then when I look up with that commenting and slander people, in that kind of way, that was never her way of politics. I know she wants to change that.
In the opposition hangover. Like him or don't like him. You see that short miserable one who say he raised grassroots and riot? He is very good when you watch him in the parliament. They can have
but that why I tell people, a lot of people does hate on Imbut, but I, the man, always like Imbut. Because they can't come wrong Imbut with shit. Imbut will dust you down in that freaking parliament. I just sit down and watch up. They come into Imbut and they knows nothing. If all they knows not all they can come to the man, Imbut will take you apart.
And he does.
But he's taking them apart. He alone will take apart the whole UNC.
Yeah, well, remember he was trained by Manning and trained by Justin.
Not only that,
now he in politics.
All they ever watch Imbut resume?
No.
Nobody in that parliamentary education with that man. That man have law degree, engineer degree. If you see that man resume, I scratch my head when I see that. I say, oh, yeah. None of them have head with brain on that fella, you know. And the thing is about it, he get chastised for a lot of things. And the thing is, yeah.
In a minute, I leave already, but come back because I hear you say something. You see,
what's that?
Like a classy woman.
This class.
And let me tell you see them dirty people, some of them, they don't like the woman. They're fighting at them like a dog.
Yes, and I have a serious issue with that too. I will give you
my number. I will send my number for you. Pablo will give you my number. That woman, they will be laughing in her face and cutting the woman's throat. But I don't
her.
You understand?
Yes.
The woman is not a woman, she don't like bacchanal and commerce.
But exactly. Yeah. She's a very classy woman. Listen, I never tell her something.
You don't be no damn thing.
And if Penny could help it, help you, no favoritism. You hear what I'm telling you?
No, what people have to understand.
Come up on its life.
What people have to understand.
Oh, we go talk. I go
What
talk
people
to you.
have
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them, I get beat down on radio, you know. I get licks on radio, you know. They try to get rid of me, but I can't get. I like backtrack. I like a termite. I just beat somebody inside coming outside when you think everything nice with me. You understand? But I'm very like I'm not tonight when you say, Tunapuna encouraging. That is an accusation. If I say Tunapuna don't encourage them, that's a different tone. How I could encourage them young men come on and cross up Aberdeen. I try to calm them down. You understand? I didn't hear when they kiss me. But I will listen tonight and I will go on and chant. I will take a little break up the life and let them do the best over it. But same, not tonight. I got a headache tonight. I really got a headache tonight. You understand? And I can't with tonight. I ain't gonna get no pressure from nobody. You understand? All right, on a good night. I still looking up from the people. When I call it.
Alright. As I was saying, Penny, what people have to watch and give Penny respect for, Penny was able to win a marginal. Rima is a marginal seat. She gets PNM lost on both sides of she. PNM lost Sandy Gandhi and PNM lost on both sides of Penny in the middle of that also. And the reason being is people vote back Penny because of she. Because the Arima people like Penny and how Penny conducts herself. Penny always on the ground in dealing with the people. And this is why she won national.
She helped real people in Arima.
Yeah, people love her because she's that kind of person. And what the PNM people have to do is coalition around her and defend the PNM. It have too much of them inside of the PNM attacking her. I just have a right about that. I just have a serious issue with that. I don't be seeing them all on the PNM pages by talking she this and she that and whatever. Even some of them who will come home by here to come and tell me about she and say, oh, this and that, oh, she, oh, the, she can't be like Rowley Soldier. He is not like Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley's the own characteristics. It's not like you're trying to compare Dr. Rowley to Manning. It's two different people. You cannot compare them to Chambers. Chambers was a different man. You can't compare them to Eric Williams. Was a different type of kettle of fish. Everybody had his style and the way how to...
Yeah. I get some licks Penny, you know, on them.
Yeah, I just get licks. I just get licks from with PNM. I just have plenty of them who does be on the PNM sites and things because like them will be fine. She cussing and getting all that shit, getting on she getting on Commercy and Rango Tango, she have an issue with she. Understand? But that is not how they mean and that is not her style. And the thing is, what people have to forget, and remember when Kamla was in office, was in opposition, she had her minions out on social media battling for her.
So true.
Her minions and them, how much time you used to hear Kamla talk once in a blue moon? How much times Kamla show up in Parliament? Only once in a blue moon. Yeah, still, she had been in Parliament, she hardly just come to it. The Penny had to call she out to that. She said, when Penny said, that is the Prime Minister because you know she talk for her.
Yeah, that's the only time I hear Penny more when she pop out in the place.
Yeah.
Talking safe.
It have plenty things that she's saying. There are plenty things that she's putting out. And a lot of them are watching now the media and them not covering her. Not covering plenty of the things the shit she's saying. They're not covering plenty of the shit. And she getting put in the side and plenty of the PNM people not coming out and pushing she work. What she saying.
Right. No one PNM problem.
I have an issue with that.
PNM need an aggressive public relation department.
Correct.
Yeah.
Bad.
Correct. Them don't have nobody for a PR. Nothing.
I was in support of this guy Noriega because last time when I was watching his campaign, I find he did launch a decent campaign for when he was going up. And for his personal campaign, I didn't like how his social media was done and whatever. But they have to do more. They have to reach out. They have to come out. They have to get on the ground. They have to deal with the people. You understand? They have to deal with the people. If they want to get back into power, or if they want to stay in opposition for the next 10, 15 years, they have to step up the game when that is concerned. Because this is what UNC is.
What happened? Watch when PNM was in opposition between 2010 and 2015 with 12 of them. And look how it was. Even when they suspend Dr. Rowley from the parliament,
Yeah.
Britain was real, had them busy. Where we need an opposition like that. We need some fire.
Yeah.
Even though they
I mean,
have fire, the Speaker of the House do not give PNM a chance at all.
Yeah. That's the next thing too.
That's the question.
And they'll sing that shut them down. Jack, they've just shut them down. This is why they have to mount a different way of the strat. They have to come out with other strategies and mountain where they are mounting their attacks from. Understand? They have to. It have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do, and it could be done because UNC don't start.
Kamla will be in the house in January. God stay alive.
Yes.
Yes.
I supported her full 100 because it was like I met her some years ago and we had some discussion and I told her say Penny, I believe we go have a time that they will be the leader of this party. Somehow I'm telling you someday along your day will come in the sun. Understand? But you know, you just had to be guided. And it has to, and the thing is, we the people in the party, the party supporters, the people who consider themselves PNM have to come out and stand up to work.
Yeah, that is rightfully supposed. That is not a bill from now.
You see, the problem with them, the problem with PNM people, they wanted stability and power. But you have to remember, it's a voting system. Just like how we vote for election and UNC win, it's a voting system. And if the people vote and they say they want Penelope, what Stuart Young and them supposed to be is back the woman. He will have his chance in time to come. You know how long Penelope there brushing bench and shining bench? She did her time. So now it's time for her. So nobody should be vexed with Penelope. What they're supposed to do is all you come together and support the woman. And stop this bickering in the past because you wanted this one and you wanted that one.
Yeah.
Everybody will get a chance.
Yeah, up to now, as you see Stuart Young say something, and pull up, look at Stuart is the leader, disrespect.
Yeah. Big time.
If Stuart was the leader, every party that choose Stuart as a leader, I fully support Stuart Young 100%. I like the guy. If they put Penny come the leader, I support him Penny full 100 because I like the woman. She's a good woman. And I have seen her work over the years.
PNM need to get back the party group in each constituency. That is one thing I have.
Yeah, that'll work back, yes, that'll work. You take the words out of my mouth. You take the words out of my mouth. The party group system have to come back in the party.
So true.
Understand?
You see that everybody in the UNC like Kamla? No, but they will never come out. And then the public ask the behavior, they would not do it.
No.
If they had to buy bread and water, they would do it.
All I'm watching the woman kill Katane all over the place, beating back to her, the walk, the woman forgetting slurred speech or anything, and they will die hard, they will drink, they will die the goddess, die the queen, till they're dead.
And they will not give up, no matter what.
They won't give up.
Queen B and all the rest of them following because they will not. But boy,
one thing though,
what I
one
say
thing.
To Hangover, African people is the worst enemy because from time they have a black leader, I don't know what. Like, you know, that a black leader cannot make no mistake. As the setup wants, oh God is the worst thing. And they just theater. But look at how much mistake Queen be making. And people not pulling shit out. No. In fact, she got any support. Yeah, she got any support.
Yeah, because let me tell you something. There is in society, there's a kind of psychological thing toward aggressive black people in. Let me show you in this. Let me put it in this way. You see, like how Dr. Rowley was a more, I would say, aggressive, or I wouldn't say aggressive, but how he used to put across, like he does come across as a disciplinary.
Yep.
Put a white person in Rowley's skin and let me on the same way and everybody going and celebrate.
And I was saying he nice, he good.
And he good. Because for instance, look at Trump. Look at the behavior of Trump. You feel Barack Obama could have do what Trump do?
No way.
You feel Barack Obama could have get away with the things that Trump doing? No way in that was going to happen. Because that is how society is. And the thing is, a lot of we black people will help you bring down we black people to it.
Yeah.
A lot of we going to help you bring down we black people because we found out that some of them token black people and them outside here who just try to make themselves believe or comport themselves in a way like they're not with the rest of the Africans and wherever they're watching this one and the nose up their ass and they try to be of the suit and tie class and want to behave like a certain way.
That's true, that's true.
Understand? We, like for instance, that is why Africa is separated today. China is one, India is one, Africa separated.
Yeah.
Into 54 states in Africa.
And that is why I was telling Sharon that when Penelope and them happen a meeting, invite us. We want to come. We want to give her pointers too. We want to help.
Yeah.
We want to help the
Yeah. Yeah. Because look at my forum. My forum going expeditiously. People coming from I get calls from all over the place. People from in America, people coming because they realize a lot of people latching on. But when I say, well, I post up my thing, they can go and research everything I see and they go see it come up as the truth. And I write is about the facts of the truth. And if all of us, if everybody come out and fight for the truth, it will make a difference. But if only learn the people who speaking the lies louder than you.
Yeah, because the lies supposed seem to be the dominant force now. Everybody
Yeah, because nowadays you just have to prove the truth.
Yeah. Everybody into it and everybody to hear it.
People faster believe the lie first, they don't believe the lie of the bad. And you want to come down and prove the truth.
It have a saying, when lies reach around the world, the truth that be still tiny listen.
Good. So there's a good one, it's true. You know, but the old Prime Minister, President of China years ago said, if you keep feeding the people a lie, they will tend to believe it's true. No matter how you tell them. Yeah.
So this nonsense where they're going after Maduro and call him a narco terrorist and the drug trade they're going after. And they're trying to force this down people's throat and these UNC people and them balling the drugs and the drugs. All you see, I see the push on them on the corner still. Nothing stopping. So I think when they talk about drugs stop, nothing stopping for that. If there are no drugs them going after. Because all the drugs and them what is in Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Mexico. These are the places that produce drugs. This drug what they call fentanyl, what Trump talking about. You ever see fentanyl in Trinidad?
No.
You know what? You
remember Weedita?
Yeah, when I'm Janet. I went Janet. You know was the general and she came to Trinidad with Weedita when I was
so tricky. Why they had Weedita in the Caribbean? mashing up the marijuana and things. California and all of them was legalizing it.
Yeah.
And having the shop and making money off of it. Right?
Yeah.
Right. We have more weed and more drugs than Colombia. And from Colombia, where it goes straight into America.
Really?
Who have more drugs than America? Who have more drug users than America?
Trump said he trying to stop drugs and eradicate
Stop
drugs.
what?
I could
Stop
never.
users. If the users stop using it, it wouldn't come.
One of them Americans say if Trump stop the drugs from coming in, them Americans going and climb that wall over to get it.
You know? Because they like that. They are drug users.
The drug pushers and them, the people who push the drugs is American. It's American people who bring it across the drugs into their country. It's not to say that they're trying to make Trump trying to make everything about the immigrant and the immigrant. Look like, for instance, this Afghan man who put some bullet on them two soldiers. What all you have the National Guard doing in the city as doing police work. All you have the Washington police, all you have all the police for the work. Them soldiers is not to be on no ground like if they was the police. And on top of it, that Afghan guy was a CIA agent. And now he making it now, he's stopping all country, all third world countries, people from third world countries coming into the place. And there are no more Muslim. And I want to send home this Muslim and make it about that. And them white Zionist Christians and them jumping, oh, the Muslim, and we are Christian country and we white. America was never made of no Christianity. Matter of fact, America was built running from Christianity. When them white people come down from Newcastle on the Mayflower, they wanted to get away from the Roman Catholic and the Anglican Church and all them sort of thing. That whole thing, because the first set of, all them American presidents from George Washington to Jefferson to Franklin and all of these people were restitution men. All of them was from Lodge. Because all of them because that whole Lodge thing was in France. All of them was in France in that Lodge thing. All of them was in one in that Lodge thing. The Masons, all of them was Masons. The whole of Washington designed after the Mason sign.
Right.
Washington was a Mason, all of them was Mason. So this is why they never made it about no Christianity thing, and now they're pushing this thing America, great Christianity. And the thing is about it too, they're blaspheming the words of Jesus Christ and using the words of Christ in lies.
So true.
Because if they go and study back the words of Christ and what he was about, Christ was for the poor people. Is the poor people Christ went on hell? Yep. The only time they ever see Christ get vexed, the only time they could say they ever see Christ get mad and take off his belt and start up is when he went into the temple of God and see the merchants and the set up business and the gambling, all kind of thing. And if the scribes and Pharisees, which was the priests at the time, allowed them to do that, to make money. And that is not what the church is about. And that's why America made the church. They come and make church a commercial thing than a Jesus Christ. It's more commercial than a Christ thing now. Look at Trinidad here, more than a commercial. I like last time I was telling them, I see the church here in Trinidad. It's a portable card machine. We're walking around to the island and have people swiping the card. How we reach to.
Yeah.
Understand? And that's what the world is. That's what the world is.
Tonight the voice. The Tamil.
Hey, voice. I wish I was here earlier by voice, but he was waiting for you to come and block a fool who was coming up. Even though this man get me mad. I wish I could have reached out and touch him.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh gosh, when I'm not here all of that. Gosh. And I was definitely thinking about you because them family call me, honestly call me. I hear this, I hear them for a while, but just to find a boss. Now I walk into this conversation and I like what I hear him say. Because Friends of the Nation or even Friends of the Nation which I think was logged out and people still reaching out to me. These are messages. I didn't know the video would have touched so much people and it goes to show just like how we were talking about the good. You see knowledge, Canadians like knowledge and they don't like the truth. And that's why we are that. And right now, not only bunch of people in the Arab saying that they know the party they supporting was good. And more and more I went out in public for the past 2 days for all little hills. I went to Hello twice, which is Friday, Saturday, and I went to Saturday. The amount of people I had to stop and talk to, I was in total shock. The nation fed up with it. The nation really fed up with it all. I was with this. It was really shocking what we do right now. We don't have as all about in our war in home west. I live in 7 houses away from us. So it is what they're doing about it is shocking. So they mean all this. Now see who we're talking about, the man talking about Alexander. He said he fed up. He fed up with this man for maturity. He said he fed up with it. So what the fuck is this? I'm not a government minister. I can only highlight the points of what's going on in our country. It's really shocking what's going on right now. So what I'll keep on doing, I'll keep on stating the facts. Last year I stated the stories about the people and calling their names anymore. I'll keep on stating the facts of how we can make changes happening in our country. As of right now, when I asked anybody who in here listening to me, when was the last time coming for this year or something? Honestly,
Now, say what not happening.
Exactly. It's centuries. And everybody know I used to transport real big people in this country. For more than 15 years. And it really affected me how we going on this road right now. And listen now, I'm not bashing any certain party in particular because both parties have their problems. And listen to this way. If I actually had to make a video people call out a government minister for being racist and to relax. When you don't find reach and certain levels, and that is too much. The big boys banter to make a video about a government minister to make them stop calling me N-word so much and laugh at it. When you don't think you reach that level so bad. I have never thought we would have reached to that level. It's ridiculous. Yeah, because you're not supposed to be calling us monkeys or niggers. I could say because
and cockroaches. You're calling them cockroaches.
What have we come to? And then this thing about it, somebody highlighted something to me. And I'm showing out tonight because international people reaching out to me. You see if YouTubers can reach out to you, I start to ask the question for going in your country. That's when you know you're reaching out to my state. That's when you know you're reaching out to your man state. Now, you see this sort of thing, on last night somebody reached out to me from them and said, look, there's something I'm calling you. Just didn't say that because it's something you didn't have a right to. This Mr. Donald Trump is a very interesting character. Not only is he guilty of war crimes, but 2 members of his staff are also very interesting. You see Marco Rubio, do you all know what his uncle was charged with or charged for? Same thing that Donald Trump is accusing Venezuela of. This is inside Marco Rubio's house. Think about what I said. We're talking plenty snow. Plenty snow in Marco Rubio's house. Guess what? Marco Rubio is still a minister, right? Wasn't that something like our own regime that's going on right now? Think about it, really. Think about that. Well, what I just said. Marco Rubio is the man who does all shots. Okay? So I want people saying that definitely I have to come and listen to you guys because so many people listen to me. So I'm doing my best. I'm calling for people and that I'm not to do anything. I'm not like other content creators which that I don't bring facts. I really don't real things. Slander, threatening, nothing of nature. So you see also the spine that they get last week in the prisons. If any prison officer has been arrested, people are even talking about that thing. Who's the man who running the prisons is the same unintelligent man who made the statement about the visas. Do you all know that?
Yeah.
No prison officer got arrested for how much? 63 votes. 200 packs of cigarettes, more than kilos of marijuana.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
I get arrested.
I'm going to tell you something, before. I find we the age now where the person is supposed to have certain things in the prison. In America, it have time when you could go by the phone and pick up the phone and call your mother and talk to your mother and talk to your mother. If you say something off, they cut you off. We live in the 20th century now, right? And if you say you want to be modernized and you want to be up to date with the American system, the reason why phone is being sneaked into the jail is because you all don't have a system where the prisoners can have a little time to go to the phone to get to talk to the parents or the mother or whoever it may be. And that simple little thing, by just doing that, does curb a lot of crime that can happen after they come out. So when you hold them there and you say to treat, and you frustrating them, and you're doing them all kind of wickedness, when them come out, you make a bigger criminal than what they are.
That's correct. You see, something they used to do to slaves long time, which is the burning of the slaves to make the slave owners mark a biscuit, was very important. Was very, very important. You know it's a new mark. You know it's a new mark of new slaves. The slave being able to control them by means of simple things. To be literally, to make you get a psychological start till you feel not to react. That is the new mark. I'm saying that because remember I was recently incarcerated. And today I see people in the field who came out and come and embrace me who was inside. You see, psychological damage is worse than any physical pain you could get to them. When you go through something and your mind goes into that realm of no remorse, even to do somebody something, that is what you know the psychological effects gonna affect your life. So you see what Papa is saying? What Papa is saying is very much correct.
You're knocking out for 10 people.
But on that, we tell them to know they are going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
Just now that the internet was getting attacked too, just now the too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing that a lot. They do me that today, plenty.
Yeah. Well, after what I posted up on my status there, people now realize that I was talking the truth. If you're not a millionaire, but you have 11 stock channels, and you're pushing out front of your mic to the parliament or to the government, it shows that you're already dangerous in truth.
Yeah.
Furthermore, what I realized I get enough of stealing people private profiles looking at things that I do. It's very, very interesting. Dangerous atmosphere we're living in right now as human beings. But I hope that more people stand up for situations that they really come to right now.
Look today I researched and became on yourself. And when I researched, I was shocked that Cain and Abel, but Cain
Fuck Israel all day, every day. Fuck Israel till my last breath. Fuck Israel till I'm in jail or I get shot. Fuck Israel. Fuck Zionism. Fuck you and fuck you. Fuck Israel. That's it, man. Fuck you, you colonial fucking settlers. Go fuck off back wherever you came from. You murdering psychopath colonizer motherfuckers. Fuck you. Fuck Israel. You will never accept Israel. Fuck you till the end of days. Fuck you. I have a platform and I'm going to yell it as loud as possible. Fuck Israel. Fuck you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good night.
persona non grata, me you tell vamose, so I leave parata and drink my Grey Goose. I did plan to parang in Caracas this year, but your cuss and your fuss and your people declare persona non grata. Why you call me that name? Persona non grata. Lord, you make me feel shame. Was to be a fun thing with my parang band. Baron 2 was coming for Spanish woman, promising he go sing Maria, Maria. Now los aquí across the Gulf of Paria. Persona non grata. Why you call me that name? Persona non grata. Lord, you make me feel shame. Had my cuatro tuned up, new maracas too, real ready to cantar and bailar with you. They send a ver nota, a diplomatic note, keep you late, no airplane. They say I can't take both. Persona non grata. Why you call me that name? Persona non grata. Lord, you make me feel shame. The phone ringing non-stop, the whole band calling, saying I set them up, I'm crying and bawling. Carone, laughing me in my situation. Maduro, Semino, going to end Thailand. Persona non grata. Why you call me that name? Persona non grata. Lord, you make me feel shame. ¿Qué fue lo que hice? Romper un plato, bailar con tu tía. Mi nombre en una lista negra por una simple tontería. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
Not war. Just peace. Forever, forever, forever. Decirle al pueblo de Estados Unidos, no a la guerra. No queremos una guerra en el Caribe ni en Sudamérica. No. Not war. Let's peace. No a la guerra loca. No crazy. No crazy war. No. ¿Cómo se dice en inglés? Please, please, please. Yes, peace.
Listen to me.
Yes, peace.
Not war.
Peace forever.
Peace.
Peace forever. Esto se llama lenguaje tarzaneado. Tipo Tarzán sería sí, paz, sí, paz, sí, paz por siempre. Sí, paz, 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 sí, paz, 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 sí, paz, 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 sí, paz, 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 paz.
Not war. Just peace. The people unite.